Dook Ambiferreters, welcome to the Ambigram Ferret series. Someone call animal control. There's a wild Ambigram ferret. If you're not sure what an ambigram is, it's a word or phrase that can be read forward and upside down, kind of like how wow says mom upside down, only way more complex. Special thanks to Mark Palmer for the Musky Ambigram in his recent episode of The Ambigram Artists, Eytan Wronker for the remix poster of Animal Control using my Animal Control Ambigram, and lastly, I would like to thank My Name is Musky for the Musky plush and books in the wake of Musky's death. With that said, let's start working on some ambigrams. Here's a quick glimpse at all the ambigrams that'll be on this episode of Someone Call Animal Control. There's a Wild Ambigram Ferret. To celebrate the second episode of Animal Control, Rabbits and Pythons, I'll have an ambigram that says rabbit one way and python upside down. Musky is excited but nervous. Ferrets love to eat rabbits. They can kill and eat rabbits like nobody's business. However, pythons can kill ferrets and other small animals like nobody's business. So let's keep Musky safe from the pythons. And let's just do an ambigram that says rabbit one way and python the other way. Are you ready, Ambiferreters? Then let's start. Time for the rabbit python ambigram. Just because both words have the same number of letters doesn't mean that a 1-to-1 will always work out. Sometimes a 2-to-2 or 3-to-3 or even more, or even a 1 letter to 3 letters. You have to consider the letters and how many downstrokes it takes to write them. In this case, we're going to do 4 letters to 4 letters. And here's how. It's going to be an R, and I'm going to use a capital N here. Here's your R. It has to be an N, so we stick this vertical line in there. And we've started our A. Now to finish our A, and we're going to curve. This finishes the O and starts the B. First B. And we have another B. And that completes the H. And the last part of this B is the T. And let's cross this, A. Now we can do one-to-ones. I to Y and T to P. Rabbit one way, python upside down. For this next ambigram, know that my favorite thing to do with ambigrams is actually this. Superhero and alter ego, or character and actor, things of that nature. So let's do a McHale plays to Frank Shaw ambigram because Joe McHale stars as Frank Shaw. Let's get started. All right, let's do the McHale plays Frank Shaw ambigram. I chose to use his last name for this one. 1, because it's longer, and 2, because it starts with an M, and it would fit perfectly with the W at the end of Shaw. So let's do an M to W. Should I even be calling this an M to W? M already flips to W. Next we have lowercase c to lowercase a. Next we have capital H, another naturally occurring one, and it's capital because Mac is a prefix. McHale. Mac is the prefix. Son of Hale. And we have capital S in Shaw, so we're going to have our A come up to the C height, but it's going to dip down just a little below the other letters to capitalize that S. Next we have LE to K. And then we have PL to N. We have an A to A. Let's keep it lowercase. We have a Y to R, and let's do this one as lowercase r. And we have S to capital F. McHale, as in Joel McHale, plays the character of Frank Shaw. Our next ambigram is Porcupine Valentine. I hope our Ambiferreters will be stuck on the finished stylized version I'll show you after I do this basic ambigram. Here we go, the Porcupine Valentine ambigram without all the porcupine and Valentine stuff. It's just going to be letters. So we have two P to E's, and we have a U to N right in the middle. So I was very lucky. But here's our first P to E, and it's going to be a capital P. O to N, not my favorite glyph, but here's O to N. R to lowercase I. And we have a C to T. We're going to do capital T just because the curve of the C makes a cursive style capital T easier. Here's that U to N right in the middle. I love when U to N's or O's or S's, letters of that nature, are in the middle. Let's do our other P to E. I to L. We're going to drop down just a little to make this an L, the other direction. N to lowercase a. I like using this style of A. And finally, an E to V. For this one, I'm going to do a huge diagonal that's going to make your brain interpret this more like a V, the other direction. Porcupine and Valentine upside down. Here's the finished, stylized version of the Porcupine Valentine ambigram I hope you'll get stuck on. Here it says Porcupine, and upside down, Valentine. Our final ambigram for this episode will be dedicated to all of our Ambiferreters. Thank you for sticking by me these past 3 years. Thank you for making ambigram requests, liking and following the page, and just sharing the fun of ambigrams. The Ambigram Ferret, 3 years and counting, ambigram. Let's get started on this, the Ambigram Ferret, 3 years and counting, ambigram. Let's start with a T to G. Let's start all the way at the back, in case we run out of room. Next we have an H to N. It's going to be lowercase h to lowercase n. Next we have an E to I. That's a very common glyph, E to I. Next is going to be capital AM to UNT. When I have a T within an A, I like to use the crossbar and cross the A with it as well as the other letter, T in this case. And this U is coming out quite naturally. So that's UNT. Next we have a B to O. And it's a shape like this. Next we have I to capital C. And then we have a pretty much naturally occurring G to D. We have capital R to lowercase n. The key is this notch to make it an R rather than a U. Then we have an A to A. And for the M, I actually had to do the abbreviation of years, YRS, because the whole word would have been too long. So here's our S. And it's YRS because I didn't have enough verticals to balance out the whole word. Next we have capital F to lowercase e. And then we have E to E, but because of the shape of a certain style of capital E and the fact that it flips to a 3, I decided to just do this style of E so that it would flip to a number 3. Next is lowercase r to R, then RE to lowercase h, and then lowercase t to capital T. And you know what? Let's put a down arrow on this capital A. Don't worry, it'll make sense once I flip it. The Ambigram Ferret, upside down, says 3 years and counting. And here's why the arrow works. Because now it's an up arrow. We're counting on from 3 years. Maybe 3 more. Who knows? And this concludes another episode of the Ambigram Ferret. Musky and I are very excited that you watched this video to the end. Feel free to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel, where my handle is @MuskyTierChris. Then like and follow my page, the Ambigram Ferret. Turn on notifications for both so you know when the next video comes out. And always feel free to request an ambigram in the comments of any of my ambigram videos or posts. Last but not least, I would like to thank the crew at My Name is Musky for my plush and books. That's the only way I could have met Musky. Become an Ambiferreter today, and until next time, Dook Dook.